and welcome to the Marathon des mots en ligne, which is the word marathon online. What's the first word striking to your mind when you think about the situation today?
Do you mean the situation with COVID-19? Chaos and failure. 2 words.
Why?
Because the way the pandemic has been dealt with by the UK government has been disastrous. We've lost a lot more people than we would have been if we'd locked down earlier. There's been an inconsistency of advice given. There's been even betrayal from inside the government, with government officials not following their own advice. And then there being no accountability for this. And despite all this deficiency, the government have continued to maintain that they've done an excellent job, which is in itself infuriating.
Of course. Now, your novel, Ordinary People, which was published in France by Globe, starts with the election of Obama. And now we've been witnessing a few days ago George Floyd's death. How does it shape the Black identity, which is also at the center of your book, because it's shown that you can have an inner identity, but you can have also an identity given by the eyes of the others?
Yes, well, Black identity is really a political identity that has been established for decades, that has been a point of mobilizing for Black issues and Black empowerment and civil rights in the US. So it's something that, as a Black person, you immediately identify with. But there is also a sense of individuality, really, which is what I've been trying to highlight in my novel, Ordinary People, because we don't often read about Black characters and their ordinary lives and their individualities beyond those generic themes that are often negative themes to do with criminality or poverty or racism, immigration, all of those issues which do impact on the characters' lives in some way. They are part of their world, but they're not necessarily right at the center of their experiences. So I was trying to highlight their everyday experiences in order to humanize them and to normalize the Black British middle class.
Now, mankind has always been fascinated and obsessed with the extraordinary people. Why, through literature, is it the perfect place to explore the life of what we are, after all of us, which are ordinary people?
Yeah, I mean, I think novels are one of the cultural spaces where there's enough time and enough space and enough scope for contemplation to really think about what it means to be alive. I think all art tries to do that in a way, to remind us that we are alive and to make us feel alive. But in novels, you can really get very close to that in a very detailed and intricate way. And that's the main thing that interests me about novels, is getting right deep into the psychology of characters. And a lot of the novels that I enjoy have this deep kind of psychological depth to them, because it's where we can really connect with the idea of humanity as a whole, and the different stages of life and the things that we all go through in life, you know, births, deaths, marriages, those kinds of things that define what it means to be human, but really picking that apart and defining what it actually feels like.
Another part of feeling human concerns love and motherhood, which is also at the center of the book. It's often presented as something wonderful. Why did you want to dig into the heart of the intimacy of your heroes to show that we can be trapped in our own lives?
Well, I wanted to write very honestly about motherhood as a woman, and also this is a book about fatherhood as well. It's about parenthood as a whole, but how it is felt differently by the man and the woman, or whoever the two people are involved. It has a different experience for both Melissa and Michael, and that is a result of gender politics and the traditional roles around motherhood and fatherhood that unfortunately we still adhere to, just by default. Really, our whole system and society is constructed around the idea of patriarchy, and women still very easily can fall into that traditional role of mothering. So I wanted to really show a character struggling against that, and to depict this embattled kind of female psychology, in order to really explore the theme of motherhood in a very honest way, and to say things that aren't necessarily easily said, and also to make women feel understood, really, and heard. That's another thing that books can do. They can speak to us in that very intimate way and make us feel that we are being understood by somebody else.
Another theme that appears, another battle that appears to your heroes, is the one to ask this question: do we really have the choice to take other paths in life and to become free? And what does it mean for you being free?
Well, freedom is the ability to manifest yourself in the world, um, to really be who you are in the world. That to me is the manifestation of freedom, and the I think the social structures that we live in and relationships with other people, and the idea of marriage and long-term relationships can often pose some kind of threat onto the individual, and that sense of manifesting who you are and really being who you are in the world. And this is something that all the characters struggle against, apart from Stephanie. Actually, it's mainly Damien and Michael and Melissa who are really grappling with this idea of wanting to be who they think they are, and worrying that they're becoming this other person that they don't want to be. And I think that's an emotional psychological battle that people often feel in middle age, in their, in their 30s, that sense of who am I, and who should I be, and who can I be. They seem to pull in different directions, and the problem comes in is the problem comes when we really struggle against the idea of change, when we refuse to let ourselves change. When we give in to the idea of change, then it's easier to become who we are.
How can writing contribute to that and offer you the possibility to be free, to be yourself, and to resist?
Well, writing has always been for me a route towards personal freedom, freedom of expression, and freedom from kind of mental anguish. Just the act of writing something down, and making sentences, making narratives, that in itself is very mentally freeing. But I think also as a tool for protest and resistance, writing is also very important. And I think in this climate that we're living in, artists and writers are crucial, because they can express really what we're up against, and really empower people to think and to manifest their own power in whatever way they can.
Well, thank you very much for this beautiful conclusion, Diana.
Thank you very much. It's been great.
Thanks and take care.
You too. Stay safe.
You too. Bye.
Bye.